November 16th. Or it might as well be. Who knows what day is? Any day. Does time even matter anymore? Yesterday, I actually remember making a comment on a video, and then I saw that there was a notification that I had made a comment on this video, and it said, you made this comment 12 hours ago, and I swear that I commented on that video 5 minutes before, and that's how time works these days. What's up? Stroke here. Welcome. I'm Aristotle Full Throttle here, 5 days a week. We chat, we talk about movies. Today, we're talking about Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was Batman, and he might be Batman again. Are we excited about that? That's pretty cool. Do we like Michael Keaton because he was the best Batman? Yes. Also, do we think he's the best Batman because he was the first Batman that was in like a live action movie? Hi, Mom. We're talking about Michael Keaton. He's an interesting actor, isn't he? He played Beetlejuice. I like when people get to their point in their career where they can just do their greatest hits. I think Michael Keaton, if you just put a little bit of makeup on him, he can come back as Beetlejuice. Why not? He attended Juilliard. He had a grad in the Harvard Business School. He travels quite extensively. He lived through the Black Plague, and he had a very nice time during that. He's seen The Exorcist about 167 times, and it keeps getting funnier every single time he sees it. Not to mention the fact that he were talking to a dead guy. Now, what do you think, Veronica? Do you think that Michael Keaton is qualified to play Batman? I think so. We're just grooving here. We're grooving along here to a song. The song, when I wrote this music for this song, I didn't know what to call it because it was like out of left field for what we usually wrote in my band. So I called it Big Dumb Rock Song. So for years, we couldn't find a place to put this song, so we just called it Big Dumb Rock. Do you guys want to play Big Dumb Rock tonight? Do you guys want to try out Big Dumb Rock live tonight? Big Dumb Rock song. Because, you know, sometimes you write things and you just didn't know where it came from, but it's still worth writing. One of the things I learned as a songwriter is you write, and you write, and you write, and you write. No matter what happens, don't ever stop yourself from writing. Don't ever stop yourself from coming up with ideas. What you need to do is let it flow, and then edit. Write, and then edit. I'm gonna write a book. I always wanted to be an author. What's up, Jimmy James Cordova? Long time no see. It's been a while. Maybe you've been catching the replay. Hey, Tatiana, how are you? Good to see you guys here today. Today we're talking about Michael Keaton. Is he coming back as Batman? Will we see another version of Michael Keaton's Batman in the next Flash movie where Ezra Miller is playing Flash? Remember Ezra Miller played Flash in, I think he's already played him in 3 movies. He played him in Batman vs. Superman, quickly. He was in Justice League. And he also has a cameo in Suicide Squad. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember Ezra Miller? And 4 times he was on the TV series, The Flash, as meeting up with the other Flash. And this is DC's way to undo everything. I'm going to write my book, Eva, I promise. It's going to be mostly silly. It's probably not going to make any sense, but hopefully you'll giggle all the way through it. That's my goal, if I ever write a book. Usually these shows are just stream of consciousness, and every now and then I think of one funny thing maybe, and hopefully you giggle to yourself into your coffee and spit it up through your nose. Hopefully that happens once or twice. My goal here is to ruin your shirt. But if I'd write a book, I could actually think longer and harder about each sentence and drive myself crazy. Jimmy James, are you excited to see Michael Keaton come back as Batman? He's going to be like a featured role. He might even be like the Iron Man role that Tony Stark did. You know, think about the Iron Man role in the Spider-Man movie. Think about that. But also, think about the Michael Keaton playing the Vulture role in the Spider-Man movie. Michael Keaton likes to play flying creatures. He played the Vulture, he played Birdman, he played Batman. He's made a career of it. Why not? The guy's got all of the money in the world. Michael Keaton is probably the best Batman. He really is. You know why? Because he changed our perception of Batman. Before, we had Adam West as Batman, and Robin, reach down into my utility belt and get my shark repellent. That was pretty phenomenal. I really liked the Adam West Batman as a kid because it was on the same Bat channel at the same Bat time every day of the week. And every week you'd have like a week-long story that would be 20 minutes, 25 minutes each, with commercials. And they'd say, will Batman and Robin make it out of this? Come back tomorrow, same Bat time, same Bat channel. I enjoyed that as a child. It was dumb. It looked like an actual comic book come to life. They did the Batusi. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the 60s. The best was Cesar Romero played a Joker. Cesar Romero being a very famous Latinx actor from the 60s. He was so prideful about that dang mustache that even as the Joker, he painted his face white and painted over the mustache white because he didn't want to shave it. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was resourceful. He kept his mustache. He didn't have mustache gate like Superman had in Justice League where they had to CG remove his mustache. Cesar Romero was like, why don't you just paint over the mustache? I didn't know that Batman has the same charisma as Iron Man. Yeah, Batman and Iron Man are different in the sense that Batman is way brooding. We still like Batman. We're still wondering what he's up to, what he's thinking. Charisma, though, you got a point there, Shy. Robert Downey Jr., RDJ, as I know him because we're best friends. He's got a charisma about him that he brought to the role of Iron Man, which was so good because if you look at any time Robert Downey Jr. in general is in a movie, anytime he's in a movie, he shows up, the movie gets better every time. If you're watching Avengers Infinity War, you're like, oh, this part's good, this part's good, this part's good. Robert Downey Jr. walks on screen, movie's better. There's something about him, there's something he does that makes the movie better every time. And I hear that he really just has control over all of the things he says because he's basically part owner of the MCU since he started out in Iron Man. Iron Man. Y'all remember that one? Y'all remember this? Y'all ready for this? I fidget. I fiddle with things. I think because he was a comedian and no one expected him to be such a great job at Tim Burton as the director. Yes. Jimmy James Cordova brings up a little bit of trivia about Michael Keaton. He was a stand-up comedian. That's how he started his acting career. Like many, tell those jokes to people. And here's another fun fact about Michael Keaton that you may not have known. Jimmy James, you might know this because you are a fan of Michael Keaton and Batman. Michael Keaton used to work on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He was a PA. He was a set dresser. Shy. I think he was working on in the background, working on some art department stuff. And there are pictures of Michael Keaton, but back then, his name was not Michael Keaton. His name was, guess what? Michael Douglas. And there already was a Michael Douglas. So the Screen Actors Guild, according to that, you cannot go by the same name as another person in the Screen Actors Guild. So when he joined Screen Actors Guild, to avoid confusion, he changed his name to Michael Douglas. His original name is he changed his name from Michael Douglas to Michael Keaton. Let's catch up with Eva. Silly is the best and would probably giggle. I'm always covered with my own food and drink, and I watch you. I already spat coffee all over my cleavage, and that's already 4 minutes in. We're unlocking achievements here. Coffee on cleavage is what is my goal, essentially. Fun fact, wasn't allowed to have pets as a kid, so I named 2 roly-polies in my back garden, Bruce and Dick, and they were Batman and Robin pets. That's funny. Bruce Wayne. Robert Downey Jr., Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, good example. Yes, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was the upswing of Robert Downey Jr.'s career because you bring up a good point, Eva, again. Not only are you bringing up Coffee and Cleavage, but you're bringing up the fact that Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, written and directed by Shane Black, who also wrote the Lethal Weapon movie, Last Boy Scout, Long Kiss Goodnight, Last Action Hero, The Predator. I also went to his New Year's party like a few years ago. I went to a New Year's Eve party at Shane Black's house. It was weird. It was as weird as it sounds, but also cool. He had posters of all of his movies all over the place. As you do. I would. He had like Kiss Kiss Bang. He had posters of them on it. You would. I mean, you would. And he had like indoor basketball. He had an indoor TP, a basketball. I'm not gonna blow up Shane Black's spot, but I'll tell you, he did that. He brought back Robert Downey Jr. in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and then Robert Downey Jr. was considered a viable commodity again, because guess what? He started to chuck his career away in the late 90s. Robert Downey Jr. was getting high all the time, getting wasted, doing lots of the drugs. He was smoking drugs and doing things like that. And he would wake up in people's bedrooms that he didn't know. He was in jail, in and out of jail, doing crazy stuff with his life, but then he turned it around. This is proof that you guys can turn it around. If you have a problem going on in your life, if you're dealing with an issue, you can get some help. And I think the penal system shook up Robert Downey Jr. and gave him a new chance at life. He was in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. It really showcased how good of an actor he actually is. Then Jon Favreau said, I'm going to put this dude in Iron Man because you know what? He doesn't cost much on account of his reputation. People aren't going to pay too much for Robert Downey Jr.'s at this price tag because of what he's done to himself. But he's a great actor. Let's make him Iron Man. They made him Iron Man. 2 Iron Mans later, Robert Downey Jr. said, I'm going to do my buddy a solid, Shane Black, writer and director of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and allow him to write and work his way into the MCU that Robert Downey Jr. helped build with Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige and all those people. They literally had to rewrite the script for Iron Man every day. The first movie, because they didn't have a working script. So the actors, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jeff Bridges, and Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau would all sit around writing their dialogue for the day that morning while Shy, you and me and the rest of the crew waited around. Waited around for hours, probably just chatting, probably having coffee at the breakfast truck, the catering truck. Shy knows what it's like to be on set. These stories are all romanticized by the actors and directors, but when you work on a set, everybody's like, come on, what's going on? What are we doing? Don't worry, the director and the actors are just in the trailer writing the scenes for the day. Shy, isn't it annoying when an actor shows up late? That's annoying because everybody's waiting. Crew members are on time, folks. They're reliable. Sometimes the actors show up late. I don't know, Shy, if you worked out. I'm going to call her out because I don't like her. I don't know if you've worked with Misha Barton before, but Misha Barton was terrible. She was awful. I will say it. I don't care. I will defame. I will take the slander lawsuit. I will take it because I had real experiences that I could talk to you about Misha Barton. But yes, I don't know. We usually find a way to entertain ourselves while we're waiting for, those folks to show up on set while we're literally just waiting. He gets better looking age with Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. is Veronica, I will echo that Robert Downey Jr. gets better looking with age, but I would put it this way. Robert Downey Jr. gets better looking with money. Dude has got like hundreds of millions of dollars now. He was paid something like $80 million for the Avengers series. 80 million. 80 millions. That's like times 10 million. That's a lot. Eva says Robert Downey Jr. was good. Yes, Val Kilmer. Nice dovetail here because we can segue with Val Kilmer right now. Um, Val Kilmer was a Batman. Remember that? Do you guys remember when Val Kilmer was a Batman? Anybody? Remember when Val Kilmer was a Batman? He was also in Willow with a Joanne Wally Kilmer, his wife at the time. Isn't that funny? Val Kilmer was a Batman. He was in Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever. And today is a sad day. And I want to mention this because Joel Schumacher passed away. Very sad. He was the director of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. He was also, you got to remember, the director of many, many good films. Despite having directed Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Joel Schumacher also directed, guess what? The Lost Boys. Like, one of the best movies from the 80s. I'm going to do a slight homage to Joel Schumacher today because it's very sad. I have a different relationship with actors, though. We'll get to that. Yeah, my relationship with actors generally, I got to be all up in there talking to them and stuff. When the nipples on the Batman suits were so controversial. Yes, Joel Schumacher was a very openly gay man, and he put his sensibilities on, I don't know. He wanted to put nipples in the Batman suit. There's also butt shots of Batman and Robin pulling up their bat underpants and shots literally of their butts. So, listen, it's his own preference. Michael Bay sexualizes women in his movies, and sometimes Joel Schumacher sexualized men. For instance, in The Lost Boys, Tatiana, you love The Lost Boys. I love The Lost Boys. In The Lost Boys, there's a very long scene of a man oiled up with no shirt on playing the saxophone. And if you're into that, that's exactly what you get. And they keep cutting back to him. He's on a stage singing and playing the saxophone, and everybody on the beach is dancing. And I'm like, I go to rock concerts usually when I was growing up, and I don't ever remember seeing an oiled up saxophonist. Could have been a pleasant surprise. Could have been, the guy was talented. I don't remember that being an attraction for lots of teenagers to go to the beach to see a man with long flowing hair and oiled up naked chest playing the saxophone. The weirdest thing about that whole thing to me is the saxophone. I don't know how many people go see saxophonists on the beach during a bonfire. All of the other stuff totally fine with. I just don't like the saxophone being glorified in such a way that people would actually gather to watch one play. You have the saxophonist come out at some point. It's the 80s. The saxophone has a guest appearance. Hello, saxophonist. Come and play the solo for the song. And now that's enough saxophone, I think. I think bands like Dave Matthews Band. So listen, this is going to be the most controversial thing I ever say. I think when you take DMB, Dave Matthews Band, and you put the letter U in there, you get what I think of them. DUMB. I'm doing spelling challenges here on Aristotle Full Throttle. I don't like Dave Matthews Band. I think that you can have a violin in a rock song, or you can have a saxophone in a rock song. But, don't overdo it. Everyone can take their shirts off and get oiled up. That's fine. The saxophone I have an issue with. Joel Schumacher. Yes, Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl there were close-up of her butts. Yeah, they had everyone's butts in that. So yeah, it was an equal opportunity butt shot. And, he sexualized the whole Batman and Batgirl thing. Which I'm sure a lot of people, cosplay and all that. A lot of people go to Dragon Con and Comic Con. They're into that. He did St. Elmo's Fire. That's a good movie. He directed lots of good movies. And it's sad. Joel Schumacher, rest in peace. A Time to Kill. Do you guys remember that one? Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell. That was A Time to Kill. Falling Down. You guys remember that one? Listen, we're tributing to Joel Schumacher, one of the great Hollywood directors. You may not have liked his version of I mean, I loved his version of Mr. Freeze. Nice to see you. Chill out. I'm going to put them on ice. Come on. Flatliners. What a good movie. Eva says Misha Barton legit almost ran me over once when I was walking on Sunset. I had a lot of coffee and stopped spamming. Yeah, Misha Barton. Listen, I'm going to take a little bit of the edge off of Misha Barton for a second here, because I talked about shit about Misha Barton because she treated me poorly and everyone on set poorly. She was not kind to people. And this is why I call her out. She was also very late one of the days that I was working. 4 hours late. That's a third of your day. I tried to get pictures. I'm a set photographer, so I would try to get pictures of her, and she just wasn't having it. So I have pictures of her with the rest of the cast. The cast has got beaming smiles, and she's like, and I'm like, these are promotional. These are for they need these photos for like the thumbnail of the movie, for the poster, for press. These are where the photos go. And she's like this. Annoyed that she had to do her job. So we were all annoyed that she had to be there for it too. DC Cab. Anyone remember that one? Let's try and forget. Never forget DC Cab. 8mm, Flawless, Bad Company. Phone Booth. Phone Booth was a movie, a feature-length movie. Phone Booth was that movie with Colin Farrell where he's in the phone booth, and also you hear the voice of Jack Bauer, played by Kiefer Sutherland. And Phone Booth is the shortest Hollywood feature film ever filmed. It took 2 days. Something like that. It took 2 days to film that movie. Because the whole movie is just basically Colin Farrell on a phone. Here's a funny joke. But I hate when everyone's paycheck, and no one wants to work. I feel you, Jimmy James. Just show up on time and work hard and be kind. That's all you need to do in life. Am I right, Shy? Show up on time, be kind, rewind. One of the funny things about Kiefer Sutherland that you might not know is that Kiefer Sutherland was born Kiefer William Frederick Dempsey George Rufus Sutherland. That's his name on his birth certificate. I'm going to say that again. Kiefer William Frederick Dempsey George Rufus Sutherland. And now, because that's on Wikipedia, just for shits and giggles, just for jokes, Wikipedia is you can edit it. I used to do this all the time. On an off day, I would just have fun, and I would add a name to see if anyone noticed. So I would add a name. It would go like Kiefer William Frederick Dempsey Betty George Rufus Sutherland, just to see if anyone noticed. Sometimes it was Kiefer William Frederick Dempsey George Sally Rufus Sutherland. Usually it would come down in about a day or so, but I would keep checking. Guys, have fun on Wikipedia. It's fun. You can edit it. It's all of human knowledge. I think they've cracked down on people being trolls, but it made me laugh. I would go to the official Kiefer Sutherland page about a day later, and it would still be up. The dude has 20 names. Kiefer William Frederick Dempsey George Rufus Sutherland. That's a name and a half and 3/4. Let's see. Let me catch up on some of these comments here. Oh my god, never realized that oiled up sax guy. That oiled up sax guy, Tatiana, she's talking about the guy from the Lost Boys who was on stage on the beach that every teen in town came to watch. There's not much to do in Santa Cruz or wherever they are from in that show, except to go watch saxophonists. I make a joke about people who play saxophone is a woodwind instrument, but also the brass instruments. I make a joke about those folks because I'm a musician and I'm allowed. I play the electric bass guitar professionally. I'm also a guitar player, and I'll play the things with strings. I'll play all the things with strings. However, when it comes to instruments like the trombone, I'm like, all right, that's cool. So you can play like one note at a time? Neat. And this is my musician snobbery coming out. I'm like, oh, the trombone, so you can go, you can make the womp womp sound. And then what? Listen, I'm going to make fun of you trombonists. Y'all are in James Brown's band and are awesome musicians. You guys know probably way more about music than I do. Because, you know, you have to know it because you can't play it on your instrument. Oh, snap. Just kidding. Just kidding. You guys are only like one part of a chord. That's like my one finger. I'm turning off all the woodwind and brass instrument folks here. Oh, the trumpet, that's nice. They sound wonderful, okay? But I think my point is, I'm not really making a point. I love the trombone. I love Miles Davis. I love John Coltrane. Unless you're Miles Davis or John Coltrane on the trumpet or the saxophone, respectively, it's very difficult for me to want to listen to your saxophone playing. Sorry. There's a dude. Okay, I gotta find this guy. He's insane. He plays this gigantic bass saxophone, and this is the one guy that I think takes the saxophone to a whole new level, and that is a phrase you've never heard in your life. So this dude plays the saxophone, right? And he clicks on the keys, and you can hear his breathing, and he's using the clicks of the keys and his breathing as part of the musical instrumentation. I like when people can actually add to their instrument like that. So it's like you hear like a lot of funky rhythms on his keys, and he's playing the notes at the same time. And he can also play more than one note at the same time. I'm getting really musically nerdy right now, but the point of my whole story is that the trombone sucks. Stop playing it. If you play the trombone, also find another instrument to play. There's some dudes who can play two trumpets at the same time. Because you have to if you want to play anything musically. Flatliners is a good movie. A Time to Kill. Kiefer Sutherland is in a lot of his movies. A lot of Joel Schumacher's movies. Anyway, I just wanted to give a good tribute to Joel Schumacher, one of the best directors in movies. Very flamboyant human being. And in a time like the late 80s and early 90s, when it wasn't as comfortable for people who are gay and of different sexualities and of different presenting levels of flamboyance. Like Raymond Burr, for instance. Raymond Burr played Perry Mason, and on TV, Raymond Burr was very conservative and very talked like this. But in real life, he was very much, he wasn't hiding anything. So, rest in peace, Joel Schumacher. Loved his movies, seemed like an entertaining dude. Falling Down, what a dislikable character. Great flick. Yeah, so it's such an interesting dynamic in Falling Down because you've got Michael Douglas, as we mentioned before, which is Michael Keaton's original name. Michael Douglas playing a character where you're just like, good God, this guy needs to get a grip. But it was fascinating watching him fall apart in that movie. One of the classic scenes from Falling Down, when they stop serving breakfast at 11 a.m. and it's 11:02. At the fast food place. And this is before Columbine. This is before 9/11. It was a fantasy. It was a fantasy of a man losing his cool. inside a fake McDonald's and shooting up the ceiling because he wanted his breakfast, but it was 2 minutes past. But Michael Keaton, is he coming back? Hey 13, what's up? Aristotle Full Throttle here every day at noon talking about movies. I may go to the beach tomorrow though, or the next day, I'm not sure. Depends on the temperature. I would like to go out. What do you guys do? What are even the rules anymore? Are we inside or are we outside? Are we going around? Are we like rubbing our tongues on railroad handles? Like, I don't even understand the rules anymore because there's no leadership. Dr. Fauci was on TV today talking about what we need to do. And he's like, hey guys, we still need to do these measures. We still need to cover our face, wash our hands, and remain 6 feet apart. It's a triangle. Wash your hands, cover your face, 6 feet apart. You do those, and you won't likely catch COVID or spread it. It's going to take a while for the human race to figure things out, I think. I think right now we're working on... What are we even working on? Are we trying? Are we even trying? I'm serious. I don't know. Some people are. I know you guys are. I know it's tough to... I don't know. It's not tough. Just wear a mask. Wash your hands. Stay 6 feet apart. What you're saying, when you walk around without a mask on, when you walk around in a public space, a shared space, without a mask on, what you're saying is, I don't care about anyone. I am inconsiderate. That's what you're saying. But I feel like if you're that kind of person to begin with, then you don't care that people think that you're an a-hole that doesn't care about anyone. It's a kind of a weird catch-22. It's a double-edged sword. You say, I'm not going to wear a mask because I don't really care about the situation. And then people are like, you're not wearing a mask because you clearly don't care about the situation. And then that person's just like, yes, I know. I don't care about you. I don't care about them. I just want to pretend it's not there, and then everything will be fine. One of the major problems what we have today in the world is that we want to pretend that everything is fine. And that's why Black Lives Matter. People, when you hear Black Lives Matter, guys, people are like, yeah, but all lives matter. And then you're just like, yes, and Black Lives Matter. Because for some reason, when you say all lives matter, it really does sound like you're just going, I just wanted to do this. La, 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 la. All lives matter, blah, blah, blah. I want everything to go back to normal the way that I think is normal. Because it seems to be working out for me. Everything seems to be working out for me, so therefore I am going to try to get you to stop saying Black Lives Matter. Explain the pee-pee pants situation to them. Oh yeah, the pee-pee pants. I'm thinking of letting the kids go to the beach. Part of me wants them in a bubble. Yeah. Put them in a bubble. I think we're all going to be walking around with bubble suits on. I want to see this. I want to see virtual reality hangouts. I think this is what's going to happen. Right, just for the time being, Dr. Fauci, head of the NIH, CDC and whatnot, the guy who's on top of all of the news with the coronavirus was saying, hey, look, I'm cautiously optimistic that there will be a vaccine for coronavirus by the end of the year. So I'm hoping that we can do that and go back to normal and back to talking loudly in each other's faces and spitting in each other's mouths, basically. Because that's what we've been doing, and we're learning about that. Guys, is it grossing you out that now you know that when you're talking to somebody, you're just spitting in each other's mouths? Usually. Everyone was being worse at the trails at Griffith this morning As also, people way too close sitting in the outdoor cafes with no masks feel bad for the wait staff. Yeah, I agree with you, Eva, that people are not being considerate. That's all it is. It's just consideration for other people. It's a sign of respect. If you were in Asia and lived through SARS, which was far more lethal, it was more like 50% lethality or up there. It was pretty bad. People walk around with a mask now when they're sick because it's a matter of respect. They're showing each other, look, I'm sick. I would like not to spread this illness. We all lived through SARS. Remember that? Fellow Asian folks here in Asia. When I was in Japan, every now it was not uncommon to see someone wearing a face mask, and it was probably because they were being respectful to the people around them, that they were going, I have potentially an airborne illness. I don't want to spread it. So easy. If both people are naked, one pees on you. Yes, the pee-pee pants. I do remember you saying that. Wearing pants, they pee and they only get themselves wet. Yeah, everybody's out there peeing on each other. Kind of grossed out by it, to be honest. I don't know. Unless they're into that. How's the feed on YouTube? I know that yesterday there was a buffering issue. I got a green light over here saying that my KB/S is pretty good, my kilobytes per second. I know that you're very fascinated by my kilobytes per second. I know you were looking at my kilobytes per second. I know you like my kilobytes per second. Croatia was 0 cases, then borders open and international flights started. Now they're up to 24. New cases, masks up. Tatiana, right on top of it. On top of the issue. The opening is fine. Here's the deal. The opening is fine. Let's open up. But we know more about the spread, how it spreads. Now we know more about the behaviors that we have to do in order to open up. So the people who want to open up and just pretend that it's not there. It's like, no, we can open up if you follow the rules. Like I was saying, Mayor Garcetti said, we're entering phase 2 of the open up, which means you still have to wear your masks. You still have to stay 6 feet apart. You still have to wash your hands. That's phase 2. But if you start to do phase 3 stuff while we're in phase 2, we all going to have to go back to phase 1 and lock it down. Come on now. People, just keep it present in your mind that just be respectful. And if you see people being disrespectful, just do what I do and avoid them. That's all you can do. Protect yourself. That person is going to not want to protect. You know, the president, this is ridiculous. His staff, he's got like 8 members of his staff that have tested positive and also get it. We're all going to get it. We're all going to get it and become zombies. We're all going to get it. 80% of us are going to recover and it's going to be fine. Something like another 10% are going to have it real bad. Another 10, 15%. And then like 5, 6, 7% dead. Going to die. Very sad. But Aristotle, haven't you heard masks are government mind control device and they take away basic human rights? I want to know this. Riddle me this, Batman. Since we're talking about Batman. Why is it that people was out in the streets, you're taking away our freedom. I don't want to wear a mask. Open up the country. It's a hoax. Those people with the MAGA hats out a month or so ago, yelling about being locked down, don't want to be locked down no more, let us out. This is a mind control situation. A lot of those same people are the same people that are like, why are people marching in the streets with the Black Lives Matter? Why are they out in the streets of the Black Lives Matters? Why are they're allowed to do that? It's like, wait a minute. Are you for it going out or against it? Or are you just against Black Lives Matter? Another situation I find funny when they say defund the police. We want to get rid of more police. We don't need as many police policing situations that don't need to be policed. They need to be counseled. They need to be educated. They need to be rehabilitated. People go, we don't need as many police. Let's defund the police. And then what are some people's? At the same time, people are going, Second Amendment. I want my gun. I want my guns because I need my guns in case there's an over tyrannical situation where government has too much power and there's too much governmental power. I have a gun to fight back in case there's a tyrannical government or there are forces that, so we could form a militia against those forces. Those people, same people going, we need our cops. We need them to police. We need more power. Make up your damn mind. If it ain't about race, then what is it about? It's about race. That's what it's about. They're saying we need a physical body like the structure of the police, which is a system that has historically and presently designed to police people of color in situations forcefully. So the people that want their guns are the same people that want more police, or they want the same number of police. Guys, what we want to do here, Shai disagrees with defunding. I think that that's fine. We could disagree on that. I think that defunding is a bad term. I think that the police are actually out in greater numbers in areas and policing and cuffing and throwing people in jail for crimes that are nonviolent. Yet, if you are up in your ivory tower and you are in a nice neighborhood and you have a lot of money, you're not being policed like that on all of the crimes that you might be committing on a daily basis that are far worse. Possession of more drugs than someone who's got like an ounce of weed in the hood. You might have 10 kilos of cocaine in your mansion and nothing will happen. It's ridiculous. I think when there's an opposing opinions where it doesn't make sense, is people picking and choosing pieces of an argument or an ideal to perpetuate their needs. It's not a whole picture of just whatever. I totally agree. I think that people go, that when you start to cherry pick parts of the argument, what is it really about? You start to betray your secret desires there. You start to, if you're sitting there saying we need more police, and police are specifically in our society shown to treat black people poorly in comparison to, say, rich white folks, or it's a system that benefits one group and disadvantages another. And you can be mad at that system and want to change it around. The defunding is not the term. I would like to see a reallocation of funds and re-education to police reform, but that also takes money. Yes. Yeah, I don't know who came up with defunding. Sounds like it's just everybody's taking it the wrong way when you hear defund the police. I think in the long run, to me, defund the police means, and there should be it should be called reallocate the police. Doesn't sound as catchy, but it's what it is. Reallocate the monies toward education reform, reducing the amount of force that they're using, because the force is, as we have seen over and over again, very often unnecessary, very, very often excessive. Do you think if you rolled up to someone's mansion and they were doing a misdemeanor, like let's just imagine this in your head. You live in the ghetto, you're smoking a joint, marijuana is illegal, the cops confront you with this. You know, marijuana is like very legal in a lot of states now, but there are people serving like a decade of time for having marijuana on them because they're black. So let's say you're the same rich white guy smoking a joint leaning against your Bentley at your mansion and a cop pulls up. Do you think that confrontation will end in someone being wrestled to the ground and potentially killed? If you were leaning against your inexpensive car, smoking a joint, and living in disadvantaged area. Be honest. Be honest with that thought. Just sit with that thought for a minute. This is the world we live in. I mean, I don't think that's like necessarily a mic drop moment, but it's just a cold hard truth. People are treated differently. A guy in a disadvantaged area kills somebody. A wealthy person kills somebody. Do they get treated the same? Do they get the same punishment? Do they get the same representation in court? No. There's a system here that is not working. It's not a fair one. It's why I don't approve. I'm not in favor of the death penalty. I get the death penalty. I get why people are for it. They're like, I think you should kill. If someone killed my family, I'd want to kill them. Same here. I'd want to do it. But the court system is what we have. And that court system will not operate fairly. There's so many people on death row for the same crimes that someone who served maybe 5 years because they were wealthy and they got good defense. So in principle, the death penalty is an understandable punishment. It's a relatable punishment. However, it doesn't work effectively. It hasn't worked effectively. It doesn't work fairly. So you got to get rid of it. If something doesn't work fairly, you have to get rid of it. Something is not implemented equally. It doesn't work. It needs to be reformed, defunded, fixed, extracted, punched in the face. Remember Batman? Remember Michael Keaton as Batman? He might come back in the new Ezra Miller Flash movie, which I'm excited for. Because Michael Keaton really set the tone for what the Batmans should be. Or what we liked about Batman. We never expected, like Jimmy James was saying, he's our favorite Batman. We never expected this comedian, this guy who was Mr. Mom, this guy who was in the movie Gung Ho, he was in Beetlejuice, he was Batman. And it was Tim Burton's idea to make him Batman, which was a great idea, because we just did not expect it, and he just knocked it out of the park because he was so... There's so many things in that movie, that first Batman. You guys remember that? Batman's for defunding the police. He's going to take care of himself. Batman's going to go out there and take care of it his damn self. That's what it should be. It should be a community effort. Communities can be like tighter. People can work together in their communities. Oftentimes that ends up in tragedy. The UK police don't even have guns on them. They have like nightsticks. Well, I didn't know Kiefer Sutherland was in Flatliners 2017. I got to watch that one. So I'm interested in seeing how they bring Batman back. I think they're going to do this multiverse situation where he's an older version of Bruce Wayne and Ezra Miller encounters him by going through all the different dimensions because he could run fast. That was a very famous comic book when I was a kid in DC Comics, and I had that run where Superman races the Flash. If you watch the Justice League movie, at the very end, Superman and the Flash square off, and then they go for a race. And it's pretty cool because they go on like a foot race. Or Superman might be flying and the Flash might be running to see who's faster. And it's a several comic book stretch of just the race, and it's really fun to read because the Flash is running and they're neck and neck, and Superman's running, and they're literally running across the top of the ocean. The ocean's exploding behind them, the water's flying up in the air, and they're like neck and neck the whole time. Then they're in like the plains of Africa running through throughout this comic book. They're going over all of this terrain because they challenge each other to a foot race around the earth. And they're neck and neck the whole time, Superman and the Flash. And it all takes place in like a thousandth of a second. So these two comic books, or the several comic book stretch of Superman racing the Flash, many, many panels of comic books of them, just like the dynamics of how fast they're going. And it says, and basically by the time the person who was taking the time clicked the button, they were back and they were done with the race. Yeah, there's so much happening. Robert Pattinson is happening too. The Robert Pattinson Batman trilogy that's coming out, they're saying that it's not going to affect that. Robert Pattinson is a pretty good pick, I think, for Batman. I think he's very broody. They've had to pause the making of that Batman movie. Yeah, there's a Batman in DC. I have to catch up on the DC live action. I know Gotham was a show forever. I know that they've got Pennyworth now, which is about Alfred. They've got all these different shows. The thing about those shows, though, like Smallville, is like, I just want to see Superman. Why I got to take 9 seasons for me to watch Tom Welling go like this? Look, I'm Superman. Unlike the series finale. The series finale is finally when I'm like, I just want to see Superman punch things. Tom Welling is always... This was my impression of Tom Welling acting. You could tell by season 4 he was just mailing it in. It was a hit show, Smallville. But this was his reaction to everything. That's Tom Welling. Acting every scene. Hey, looks like someone lifted this truck and moved it here. How did this happen? Then you see Clark Kent. That was Tom Welling. He started as a model. Shy, say no more, say no more. Tom Welling is funny. Now, he's a good Superman, but I mean, he's a good Clark Kent in Smallville. How many years was he in high school? For crying out loud. 9 seasons and he's still in high school? Kind of like 90210. What's going on there? Tom Welling. I mean, Clark Kent. Looks like this whole place was frozen over with some kind of super-powered, high-powered human breath to put out the fire. Who could have done that? Then Clark Kent. That was I watched like 7 seasons of that show, and you never got much more out of Tom Welling than this. Pretty good actor. I don't know. The show got crazy. There was witches. There was the Flash. There was Green Lanterns. It was crazy. The Blur. Yeah. I liked it, though. It was a soap opera. It was my telenovela. I watched my Smallville. It was my stories every Tuesday night or whatever it was on. Put on my stories. And then that lady from Smallville, the actress Allison Mack, she joined a sex cult in real life. Actually, she helped run a sex cult. Look it up. It's true. There's podcasts on it. That's how I find out all of my information, from podcasts. True crime. Allison Mack from Smallville, who she ran the newspaper in the high school. She helped run a sex cult. CW has a new Superman called Superman and Lois. I feel like CW, because the W being Warner, they really trying to really cash in on those properties. That's why they're going to make these new Batman movies. They're going to use all the Batmans because we like them all. Might as well. I think what they're going to try to do to explain the future of Batman is that they're all different universes. The Joker, Joaquin's Joker, all the different Batmans are going to be different versions Yeah, Tatiana, that sex cult stuff was crazy, right? Allison Mack and all that. Wow. That dude is a narcissist. He's a crazy. See, I've developed a superpower for detecting narcissism on account of my weakness of not detecting them before. So that dude was trying to get all these women to like carve this special symbol into their body, into their hip. And he said it's a special symbol. It means this, and they would literally have to brand each. They would brand. They would. This is the sex cult I'm talking about, Allison Mack's sex cult, and that's what you guys on Instagram are going to go out on, unless you jump over to AristotleFullThrottle.com and watch the live feed. Still, because we'll talk about this, they had to brand themselves with this symbol, and it turned out one woman was like looking at the symbol one day that she got branded with due to part of their initiation of the sex cult, and she said, wait a minute, this is just this guy's initials. That guy would initial all of the women in his sex cult on account of his crazy narcissism. I get all my information from sex cults. That Eva, good on you. You know, that seems like the funny thing about sex cults is there's always some guy at the top that's having all of the sex in the sex cult. You ever notice that? And here's the difference between a cult and a religion. In a cult, there's somebody all the way up at the top who knows it's all bullshit. In a religion, that guy is dead. And that is your lesson on morality today. It's true, though. It's true, though. I'm doing the gif of Janet Jackson in Poetic Justice right now. It's true, though. You're welcome. Are they going to make Batman like the Spider-Verse? I think they are, Shy. I think what they're going to do is they're going to say the Flash can go through different dimensions and different realities, and he's going to end up in a parallel universe, and he's going to end up with older Bruce Wayne, which is going to be dope, because we're going to get some Michael Keaton Batman that we always wanted. We always wanted more of that. And I like the idea of an older Batman, because Batman fights with his mind. He doesn't need to be physically, but he always is physically in top shape. And Michael Keaton has remained in pretty good shape. But he fights with his mind. He's very tactical. He doesn't need to use force, but he can. He'll beat your ass. He's a ninja. He knows 7 different martial arts. And it'll be interesting to see an older, even older than Batfleck Batman. If he plays Batman at all, he might just play Bruce Wayne. I'd like to see that. We all like to see that. Come on now. He's going to be playing his greatest hits. Batman, he should show up as Beetlejuice halfway through. They'd be like, hey, it's a different dimension. Who cares? Everything doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Why can't we have a reverse harem cult? Harlem, I said. Where the ladies are in charge. Or lady. Yeah, why can't we? Shy? You know what? You could start that one. Everybody Shy is going to start a sex cult with a male. She's going to have all male harem. When are the signups? It's going to be called the Shy Thing. How about that? What do you think about that? You could brand all the dudes with your initials. SHIT. 24 seconds left on Instagram, guys. Hop over to AristotleFullThrottle.com and we'll wrap up this discussion on Batman. Otherwise, I will see you probably Thursday or maybe tomorrow. It's a surprise. Remember that? Get ready for a surprise. They said that in Total Recall. When the head exploded, get ready. 2 weeks, get ready for a surprise. See you guys later. All right, it's just us now. It's justice. I would say that they are definitely going to use the multi-universe Batman. Remember when the Flash shows up in Batman vs. Superman and he's like, Lois is the key to everything. And then in Justice League, somehow Lois comes out of the cop car and then calms Superman down after Superman is revived. And you're like, wait a minute, that was what the Flash was trying to say? Lois is the key to everything? I don't think so. I think that Zack Snyder didn't have an idea of what the heck was going to go on, and he just needed to throw out a red herring or whatever it's called. Say, Lois is the key to everything, to make us wonder what the heck he meant by that. But Flash is going to be going to different universes. And also, we'll see in Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League, we're going to see what he meant by that. If he said Lois is the key to everything, we're going to find out what that means, in the sense that Lois might have been the key to something. Maybe Darkseid is like, I need Lois Lane to report on my invasion. Let everyone know. Maybe he meant Lewis, like Joe Louis, the boxer. We need to get Joe Louis to fight Darkseid, because nobody gonna mess with Detroit. You know what I'm saying? No? Okay. Let me try again. Hey guys, look. I found these pictures. That's me with a fro on the stage. Found these pictures the other day. If you want to see me as a child. That's what I played Taste of Chaos. Most of the show I was in the air. That was fun. We're going to go through my photo album now. Remember photo albums, guys? I used to be like, I am not going to look through your photo album. I'm not going to do it. In high school, there was no Instagram. There were photo albums. So you had to sit on your friend's bed and they went through their photo album until you got bored. Which was usually, I'm the guy with the fro. You would sit on their bed and they'd be like, look, this was when I had my birthday party and this is me as a kid. And you're like, okay. Look, this is me as a kid. My bass guitar. You guys might not know this about me. Blowing your mind. That's my band. That's when we played at Nassau Coliseum. That's me on the stage floating. Mostly floating. I float usually on the stage. Float across the stage. You have to just... It's a trick I learned. It's very difficult. You got to start to... You float. Mainly... I can't teach you. If I tell you the trick, then everybody will be floating and the whole world will change. Everything will be different. Floating. More floating. I don't know if you could see that. I hold my pinky out. Well, thank you for the stroll down memory lane. That was when I was Batman. There is a picture of me actually floating here. I can't find it. Mostly you gotta float. That's my advice to you. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like nothing else matters in life right now, you're not alone. Yeah. Thank you for indulging me on these photos. Yeah, David Blaine would be out of a job if I told everyone it's just me and David Blaine, we floating. That's not me floated. That's just me. That's us backstage getting ready to play for 13,000 people. We were nervous, but also excited. That was a fun show. We played with The Used and 30 Seconds to Mars. You guys might know 30 Seconds to Mars because the singer for that band is Jared Leto. Oscar winner Jared Leto. Also Joker Jared Leto. This is us with fans. Or the kids. The kids, they liked us. We played music for the kids. You know, when I was a kid, I liked rock and roll music. So when I became not a kid anymore, I was like, I'm going to make rock and roll music. And we did that. And it was fun. I still play the guitar. But mostly we hang out and we talk. Because we got bigger fish to fry, folks. We need to tell people in this world to not be dicks. We need to tell people. I don't have a baby photo. This is my baby photo right here. We need to tell people to work harder at not being dicks. I think this is really an important thing in life to do. We need to tell people, hey guys, life is too short. No, I think the trick is, Shy, is to refund different things like education. If we have a better education system in this country, I know you're hearing a lot of rustling, sorry. If we have a better education system in this country, if we reallocate opportunities, if we look deliberately and forcefully integrate the society, if we work hard at that, then people are like, well, I don't believe in affirmative action. It's like, well, if you don't believe in affirmative action, or whatever you want to call it, then you believe that the system is a meritocracy. And it's not. The system is broken, and it favors one group over another. It disadvantages some and advantages others. If you say that I don't believe that people should be given a leg up so that they can play on the same playing field, then you're not acknowledging that there is a problem. If you say that going to school, oh, well, this person got into Harvard because they were black or because they were Asian, even though Harvard actually got charged with discriminating against Asians, I think. But if you say this person only got into Harvard because of their minority points that they got toward getting into Harvard, how did you get into Harvard? Was it because your father went there? Because you get more points for legacy than you do for being a minority. You get more points for doing well. Maybe this person who's black did get points because they were black to go to Harvard, because Harvard is trying to provide opportunities for other groups of people. And but they got into Harvard also because their grades were excellent and they were part of the student body and they were an athlete as well. They were a well-rounded candidate. When people, this is the thing that really pisses me off, and it might piss you off too. When people are like, well, if a black guy in a job interview and a white guy go for the same job interview, they're just going to give it to the black guy because he's black. That assumes that it should go to the white guy. That just makes that assumption. Well, obviously it should go to the white guy, but they're just going to give it to the black guy because he's black. And you're like, wait a minute. You've just made an assumption. You just showed us your cards, bro. Too hidden. If you're yelling at people for telling you to stay home and you're out in the streets without a mask, and then you're complaining that people are out in the streets with masks protesting. Listen, when I was part of that protest a couple weeks ago, I kept my distance. I was no closer than 20 feet from the crowd, and I was also across the street for most of it. I wore a mask the whole time, and I would say that there was about 90% compliance with wearing masks. A lot of people with the dumb mask around their chin, with the mask under their nose, where you're just like, come on now. Your nose is exposed. Someone said a funny. They were like, when I see someone with their mask around their chin, it looks like they have a condom around their balls. I think that was Bill Maher. Yeah, I listen to Bill Maher. So do you. If you're watching this show, I bet you if you don't agree with me, you don't watch the show. I can't wait till the show is so big that I fight with people who don't agree with me, and I can help point out certain things. Like, there's certain things that I know the only difference between their opinion is how their stance on, I don't know. So some racists aren't very good at hiding their racism. So everybody, get better at hiding your racism. Erase your racism. You got to be anti-racist. You have to sit there and examine your own behavior. This is a Empathy, insight. Yeah, well, let's do devil's advocate. Empathy and insight and critical thinking are all important to wanting to be better, wanting to evolve as a human. It's getting harder for me to understand. It's getting easier for me to understand that a lot of people do not want to get better. They don't think that there's anything wrong. They think that what they do is fine, and everything that they do is the way that things ought to be done. And they don't realize that there could be room for improvement. How do you control the population if they know better than you? Let's see. Education for sure. Let me catch up on. And talk therapy. Education in that's how you provide people with a foundation in life so that it should be the most important thing, but then government conspiracy. Yes. The best way to control a populace is to keep them uneducated, uninformed, and poor. It's the best way. It is in the playbook. There are books on this. There are books on this. People legitimately know. There are movies on this. Watch the movie Snowpiercer, and you will see exactly everything that is illustrated so beautifully in that movie. And I think the series now, I want to catch up on the series. But the movie Snowpiercer is so perfect in explaining that every cart in the train of society has a specific function and a specific role, and there's a class system that needs to be in place. Watch The Matrix. Listen, The Matrix Reloaded is garbage. I mean, it's not as much garbage as the Matrix Revolutions. But The Matrix Reloaded, when the dude is sitting in the chair clicking his pen, answering all of the questions through exposition, the old guy, he is saying every iteration of the Matrix has a built-in system of suffering, has a built-in tiered layer of, and it's never perfect because they created a perfect world, but the human minds that are injected into the Matrix, that are uplinked into the Matrix, could not handle a perfect, idealistic world. We need suffering. We need adversity. And through creating a matrix that is always fundamentally flawed by design, comes a Neo every iteration of the Matrix. That was the whole point of that scene in the Matrix. So Neo was the sixth Neo that the dude confronted. He's like, yeah, I know, you're the Neo of this sixth version of the Matrix. We were expecting you. This happens every time. We account for this in the system. You're no special Neo. You're just another Neo. Not like N-E-Y-O, Neo, the musician. Neo, the Keanu Reeves. I'm going the first day the movie theaters open. I prefer to watch women in the dunes explain human society. I prefer to watch Woman in the Dunes to explain human society. I don't know what that means, but thank you for that. I'm going to read that one more time, everybody. This is from Glowin the Hobbit. I prefer to watch Woman in the Dunes to explain human society. I don't know. It's Woman in the Dunes. All right, let me Google this. Because you seem to know. Is this Woman in the Dunes a thing? That's Woman in the Dunes. That's not a thing. It's a book. Oh, I see. 1964 Japanese new film directed by Hiroshi, starring. Ooh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you for educating me on that. Now I know that The Woman in the Dunes is a movie. And you were referencing when I said watch Snowpiercer and watch The Matrix. And now you're saying Woman in the Dunes. I'm checking it out. Thank you very much. Hiroshi Teshigahara. I want to see that. I love these kinds of movies. I like movies that explain away society in a representational, artful form. I do like movies. That's what we're doing here every day at noon, right? Am I right? Am I right, Baby Yoda? Baby Yoda says, okay. Woman in the Dunes 8.5 on... You've sold me. I'm going to check it out. Let me see where it's on. Streaming. I will watch this movie and I will discuss it. A lot of great Japanese filmmakers. Sadly, Americans don't watch a lot of foreign films. But gratefully and justifiably, Parasite won Best Picture, which is a South Korean film. And it's spoken in South Korean. I heard they're going to make, because I guess Americans are just too lazy to read subtitles, they're going to make a version of Parasite where it's an American English overdub. To me, that takes away the performance of the actors. You're taking away from the performance of the actors when you're using someone else's voice. So even if you can't speak the language, you could still feel the emotion of what they're saying. So I think that's up to you if you want to watch it that way. But I think the best way to watch it would be to learn Korean and then watch it. So in 7 years, when I know Korean, I'm going to watch it. You know what, Shai? I tend to agree with you. Most Americans don't actually read out of school. I did for a while. I read for a couple of years out of school. But then the internet just became so accessible. So I read the internet all day, except I don't read actual books. I just read fleeting information, and it goes in and it goes out. I did read John Bolton's book yesterday, though, on Sunday. John Bolton, the guy with the mustache. Former National Security Advisor, John Bolton. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? He worked for the 3 presidents. He worked for Trump. He resigned, even though Trump said he quit. This dude is dumb. I'll tell you why he's dumb. I read like 90 pages of this book because I wanted to know. Because it got leaked on the internet also. The guy's a dope. He lists his credentials. I worked for so-and-so presidents. I worked for this. I did that. I did this. I did that. He works for Trump, and he seemed to be surprised. He seemed to be shocked that the president was behaving the way he does. And if you know anything about human behavior, if you know anything about Psych 101, if you know anything about narcissism, he was dealing with a narcissist, but he didn't understand that narcissist going to narcissist. That's what they're going to do. So he's just every day, he's like, I was surprised. The president had no idea about this. The president didn't change his mind about that. The president agreed to this, and then the next day changed his mind on a whim. Yes, because the president only ever serves himself. He only ever serves his own ego. He only ever can ever only function by what he is thinking and feeling in that moment, which is just reactionary. So he's just a reactionary human being. And then I'm reading page after page of John Bolton being surprised that Trump is a complete inept moron. And I'm like, John Bolton, who is the moron? The moron or the moron who works for him? You dumb idiot. That guy's a freaking moron. You know what? I think it's ridiculous. If you walk around with your white hair and your big mustache, your push broom mustache, and you're like, I work for the government, look at my suit. I think these people walk around with this hubris and this, like, they're identified as these like powerful, interesting, smart people. John Bolton is a freaking moron. I don't care about your mustache. You're an idiot. It's kind of amazing. This president walks around, I'm the most powerful person in the world. You're also one of the dumbest. It's a problem. It's a problem in our society that we somehow celebrate mediocrity. Somehow people fail upward. There are people like the president who have failed upward to the presidency. So what I want to do here on Aristotle Full Throttle is fail upward. That's what we're doing. We're gonna just say whatever's on our mind and see what happens and see us get rewarded. But the thing is, I'm going to I'm going to think too much about what I'm going to say, and then what I'm going to say is actually going to make sense, and then that's going to be not a problem for anyone. I think I have to just say idiotic things. But do people even read fleeting information? You don't need to read books to be reading. It's not a competition. I agree. I mean, I read all day long. I feel like we all do. I'm reading right now. I'm reading your comments. Upward failing. I think that's the plan. So if you want to support my upward failing, you can go to patreon.com/Aristotle Full Throttle. You can get a t-shirt that says Aristotle Full Throttle. Failing upward. I've just seen so many people do that. I mentioned there was a guy in my class, in my chemistry class in high school, who would show up 20 minutes late to a 40-minute period, and nothing would happen. Nothing would happen to this guy. He was privileged. He was a privileged guy. He didn't really feel the heat of any kind of repercussions for his actions. And when you've got a president of the United States who was born privileged, who has remained privileged his whole life, he is among the privileged class, which is wealthy white man. That is the privileged class. If he's among that group his whole life, and now he's the president, and he's a malignant narcissist, there's literally no repercussions to his actions. He suffered a narcissistic injury the other day because only 6,000 people showed up when they predicted about 19,000 people showing up at his stupid-ass rally. He only had 6,000 people show up, so then when he came back on Marine One on the helicopter, you see him walking across the White House lawn completely defeated. What he is experiencing there, ladies and gentlemen, is called a narcissistic injury. So guess what? Narcissists don't suffer injuries kindly. What they will do now is be reactionary, so get ready for the firings. Get ready for the wrath. Get ready for the abusive cycle to start again. I want to put Dwayne "Rock" Johnson in office. I want to put Carl Weathers as president. Carl Weathers would be a much better president, wouldn't he? I'm going to do the Carl Weathers report. Hello, everybody. This is Carl Weathers, Mandalorian. He's gonna eat me. He's gonna eat me. Remember when Baby Yoda healed up Carl Weathers? He got cut, and Baby Yoda was like, nyeh, 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 nyeh. He healed him up. Along the lines of liberals will do that with a Trump rally. See what they'll do with the mail-in ballots. Wait. Oh, good God. Yeah, the mail-in ballots. Eva, what Trump is doing is a brilliant strategy, and it's the only strategy that you have when you are a Republican official, because notably, if you generally poll the public, they fall in line with more liberal or democratic ideals in general. Because the ruling class, wealthy folks, people with money, all that stuff, the religious right, I'm not saying the religious right are wealthy, I'm saying the religious right as well. Those folks, it's in their... They win. Look at the last two Republican presidents, their first terms. They lost the popular vote, but somehow won through finagling. Because Republicans win through finagling. They win through cheating. They outright say, we don't want to make it easy for people to vote, because when more people can vote, we lose. So Trump, like he was right before he, quote, won the last election, is trying to prime everybody, trying to tell everybody, hey, This is going to be rigged. This is going to be rigged. This is going to be rigged. That was his way out this first time around. In 2016, Trump kept saying the election was rigged. The election was rigged. The election was rigged. And then he won. So which is it, Trump? Was it rigged or did you win fairly? You can't have both. But people like to have it both ways. Just ask Eva. What's this say? 8 million watch Trump rally online and for the NFL draft and Democratic debates. Yeah. Okay. I watched part of the Trump rally online. It was ridiculous. It was mostly incessant babble. Way worse than this show. I'll tell you that. That president can't really put a sentence together. He is kind of stupid. Pretty stupid. Very stupid. You don't have a guy that says the coronavirus is a hoax and then acknowledges that the coronavirus is a hoax and then says everyone should wear a mask, but I probably won't wear a mask. That's not a leadership. That's not leadership. Guys, explain to me how that works as leadership. Please. I don't believe that the president, how did Trump win the Rust Belt? Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, these places went Democrat for 20 years. Well, I'll tell you this. 2 reasons, if we're going to get into it. Hillary didn't go to Michigan when she should have. And also, it really did boil down to a few counties in Florida which were proven. It boiled down to very few gerrymandered locations, my dude. So if you look at a guy who lost by 3 million votes but still won the election, I don't know. Now you're going to say, well, it's the Electoral College. That's the system. That's what we have. It's like, yeah. And it's manipulatable. If you have a direct vote, one person, one vote, Bush would have lost in 2000. Trump would have lost in 2016. I can't tell you why a lot of people decided that they couldn't vote for Hillary. I can speculate as to why, in a vacuum, if you look at the situation, is America going to vote for a woman or is America going to vote for a man? Is America going to vote for the most overqualified person to ever run for president who is a woman? Or are they going to literally vote for the least qualified person to ever run for a president who is a man? And fundamentally, there's something to be said about that. I think so. He won with no political experience, too. Explain that. Well, Glowin' the Hobbit, I'm glad that you've turned to me for all of your political expertise. He won with no political experience, too. Yeah, he did. He won on the base of authoritarianism. He wanted to stoke the fears and the prejudices, which he did. Notice how many people of color voted for this guy versus white America. People of color generally didn't support this guy on account of his racist rhetoric. A lot of people at his conventions, they are the ones supporting him. And look, they throw people out that say Black Lives Matter. They think that Black Lives Matter is means that, I don't know what they think it means, other than what it does mean. If my house is burning down, if someone's house is burning down, and you're like, "Hey, let's go fix that house. Let's go put out that fire," and someone's like, "Well, what about my house?" Well, my house isn't on fire. Well, Well, what about mine? All houses matter. The president won with no political experience because he said literally whatever you wanted to hear in that moment. He has no agenda. He has no ideas in his head. If you have a guy that just goes out there and says literally anything you want to hear, get you all rallied up, I gotta say, you can win at anything. Kinda stupid is too kind. Actually, any American-born citizen can run for president. You're absolutely right, Shai. There are only 2 requirements for you to run for president. 1 is that you are born on American soil. 2 is that you are 35 or older. 3 is, there is no 3. That's it. That's all you need. If you want to run for president, and I think Glow into Hobbit actually genuinely wants to know this. I don't think he's trying to claim that he does or she does. That's how you run for president. If you're 35 and were born in the United States, you can run for president. That's all you need to do. He's the least qualified in that he had no service in any freaking public service form ever in his entire life, whereas Hillary Clinton had a lifetime of public service. And that's what I mean by qualifications. So there you go. Yeah, Eva, you got to wait it out. You got one of the things. If you're born here and 35, that's it. That's all you need. The president, I have to tell you, I am impressed. The one thing that I am impressed about that Trump became president, and this goes to you, Glow into Hobbit, the one thing that has impressed me is that, yes, you can become, anybody can become president. Literally anybody. Even a malignant, narcissist, asshole, moron can become president. It's a beautiful thing, America, isn't it? It's a freaking beautiful thing. That's one thing to be celebrated. Yeah. Any true leader in this time would be working to bring people together. Would be your dream president is AOC? Okay, cool. Any person who is in a leadership position in this time would work as an American president, would work to unite this situation. He has done nothing. He didn't mention anything about the civil unrest that is happening right now. He negatively characterized. He didn't mention George Floyd. He negatively characterized the civil unrest that's going on. He didn't try to have anyone understand it. He doesn't have the capability. He doesn't have the function. His own national security advisor said these things, and it took him years of working with him to figure this out. It should take you minutes of looking at this guy talk to realize that he is incapable of doing anything other than talking in front of a large group of people. AOC. I don't know. AOC, we'll see. When Obama ran for president, I was like, shouldn't he be senator for more than a year and a half before he runs for president? But we saw that he ran for president and won twice. So if there was any disasters that are as big as like the 10 disasters every week that we see from this president, the biggest thing that Obama did that people were talking about for a week was his tan suit, or him having a Marine hold an umbrella during the rain. It's like, where have our scruples gone? Where have our standards gone? More civil unrest under Barack Obama. Occupy Wall Street was a much larger protest. I would like you to produce numbers for that, Glow into Hobbit. I would like for you to research that, because it sounds like... So you think that Occupy Wall Street... All right. Glow in the Hobbit, I think you need to read some books. I think this discussion is probably going to end here, because if you're thinking that Occupy Wall Street, which is also a systemic problem... Now, I'm going to leave you specifically with this. Occupy Wall Street was caused by Wall Street. Wall Street bankrupted the American economy. Now, if you think Occupy Wall Street happened on Obama's watch, please, I don't know, it's not long ago. It's not long ago history. It's 12 years ago. Obama got elected to fix Occupy Wall Street, to actually bail out all of the big banks, and did that and righted the ship of the economy. That's why he got elected. That was his platform. I'm going to fix this problem we're in during Bush. Now, Glow in the Hobbit, this isn't long ago. I don't know how old you are, but look it up, because Obama got elected. Specifically, the Occupy Wall Street was stoked because of the bankrupting of the economy, because of the recession. And he did what he thought he had to do, which was bail out the banks, which caused the problem. People get upset about somebody living on $32 of food stamps a month. Somebody getting upset that someone has some kind of disability benefit for like $798 a month. I know these numbers because I worked as a case manager. I helped people get these services so that they could survive. People getting mad at those people and not getting mad at Goldman Sachs for bankrupting the economy? Your priorities aren't straight. And with that, I say to you, good night. I mean, good afternoon. The Democrat Party, it's the Democratic Party, is so great. Then you should have won by 50 million votes in 2016. Glow in the Hobbit, you don't understand. 50 million votes, that's a ridiculous number. And it's the Democratic Party. I urge you to read. We were talking about it earlier. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining me. Bye, Shai. Bye, Tatiana. Bye, Eva. Sorry, Glow in the Hobbit. You got homework to do. I'll see you tomorrow or Thursday. Goodbye. Read a book. See you later.